Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. So, as a part of our Postgres tutorial series, in the previous lecture, we learned about creating Postgres functions using dynamic SQL query, right? Now, in this lecture, we will learn about bind variables. Okay, so if you guys have not seen the previous lecture, please go back and see that lecture because this lecture is the extension of the previous lecture. Okay. So now let's jump to our PG admin. Okay, so let me just expand my object explorer. So in the database, we can see right now we have four database. So we'll use same organization database. Let me just open a query tool in organization database. First, let's go ahead and check the data in org table. So select star from org. This is the table data which we are using in functions, right? So this data has organization data, right? Each row is one organization, right? So each field has organization index, organization ID, name, website, country, description, right? Founded year and industry. This is the data we have in this org table. Okay. And in the last tutorial we learned about dynamic function. So let me just show you quickly that function and then we will move ahead for bind variable. So let me just expand function. So I think we created this function or data dynamic function. Let's just check the SQL query. So or let me just copy it and I will open it in one window so that I can compare this one and dynamic SQL function and the function with dynamic SQL query as well as bind variables. Okay, so we are going to add bind variables along with the dynamic SQL query. Right, so let me open a new tab. So let's go through this the function first, the dynamic function, which in the last video which we created. So this is org dynamic data function, right? Here we have in the board this is going to return a table type of data. That means it is going to return no record type of data of this org table. Right, and in this we are passing a parameter p org index, which is the first field, organization index, right? And then in the body we have declared a variable called lv statement, right? In lv statement we have framed our SQL query, dynamic SQL query, and assigned it to LV statement variable. Then we have executed this LV statement dynamic query with the variable porg index, which is passed as a parameter, right? So in this function is giving us data, so we are passing organization index, and this is giving us all the fields of that particular organization, right? Now let's check the what is bind variables. Okay, so let me just paste. I have prepared one script for bind variable function. So let me just paste that and then I'll show you the differences comparison. Okay. So I have named this function as org data dynamic bind var1 function. So it's a bind variable function and we are just taking one parameter which is porg index. That's why I have named as var1 function. Okay. So it is also going to return that table type of record, right? All the fields of that organization, and we are passing porg index, right? Declaration is also same, so we are declaring query a variable LV statement, right? Character varying type, and you can also declare this variable, right, based on the size of your SQL query, dynamic SQL query. In the LV statement, the difference starts from here. So in LV statement, we have saved our dynamic query, but you can see in the org index, after org index, there is $1. So this $1 is the bind variable. Okay, so we are not actually putting p-org index here, which we have done in this dynamic function example, right? So instead, what we are putting here is a dollar one. It's a placeholder. Okay, so whatever value will pass in p-org index at runtime, it will be assigned here dollar one. Okay, and then what we are doing, return query, execute this dynamic query LV statement using porg index. So we are using this using clause to pass the value of dollar one. Okay, so here for dollar one we are passing porg index, right? So when we'll have multiple bind variable, so we can name it as dollar one, dollar two, dollar three, and just comma separated we can pass it here in after using clause. Okay, so this is the bind variable nature, right? So next what we are doing is just giving alter and then giving grant of the function as usual, right? What we can do, one more thing is we can print this dynamic query which is prepared before executing it. Okay, so here we can write it raise info. So this is a type of raise, so type of putting messages and errors in Postgres. So we can print this LV statement. So I'll write prepared statement, right, colon, and then you have to just give a percentage for the variable, and then comma, right, and then the variable which you want to print, right? So I want to print LV statement, my prepared uh, my prepared statement, dynamic statement. Okay, let's now create this function, guys. So let me just create this function. Okay, so function got created successfully, right? Now I'm calling this function for index ID 2. Okay, so let's check the output. Okay, so it is giving me the output for the index ID 2 and all the other fields for that organization, right? That means our output is correct. Using bind variable, we are able to pass that parameter from here, porg index, uh, using clause, right, dynamically. So this is about bind variable, and we printed the LV statement before executing, so that will be shown in the messages tab. Okay, so this is data output tab where you see the output of your function. In messages tab, all the messages will be printed, right? So you can see this is the information type of message, right? We have used with raise info. There are more type of raise labels, so the info is label. Okay, so there are more type of label. I will explain that in a separate video, different types of labels with range. Okay, so here our prepared statement is there, which I given here as a title, right? Prepared statement. After colon, you can see the prepared statement, right? So this is the prepared statement, dynamic prepared statement. Select star from app org view, where ob org index equals to dollar one, right? So this is the dynamic statement, right? And at runtime, we are in the so dynamic statement is saved in LV statement, and at the runtime we are giving the value of dollar one, that is porg index, right? And it gets executed and giving us the output, right? So I hope you guys understood at least basic of bind variable, right? I will also show you one more example with two parameters, right? So this was one parameter, only single parameter was there in bind variable. Let me show you with two parameter. So I have already prepared this function. Let me just paste that. So okay. So this is the function. My function name is org data dynamic bind variable to function. Okay, so since we are using two variables, so I have named it as variable to function. It's a dynamic bind variable to function. Okay, so what are the parameter we are passing is P founded and P number of employees. That means the organization founded year and the number of employees working in that organization, right? Now everything is in the declare almost same as previous. So declare we have declared one LV statement variable. In LV statement we have first prepared our half of the no dynamic query, that is select star from app org view where OV founded greater than $1, right? So whatever founded year we will pass, so it should be greater than that founded year, right? So we need all the organization which are founded after the year which we are passing, right? Like 2000, so all the organization which are founded after 2000, right? And then I am checking the second parameter P number of employees. If it's not null, then we are concatenating in our prepared, this LV statement comes here, right? And in that I am concatenating the second part of our no dynamic query, that is, and I'm giving a space here if you notice, right? Because it will come here as a AND clause, right? So $1 space and OV number of employees greater than $2, right? That means number of employees should be greater than the number of employees which we are passing as a parameter, right? Again, here also I am using raise info and I'm printing the prepared dynamic statement which is in LV statement, right? Now I'm doing return query and I'm executing this LV statement using clause. And since we have now two bind variable $1, we can note it as $1 and $2, and sequentially as many bind variable we can have, and we can just name it sequentially, and we can pass the you know value at runtime here sequentially, right? So we just need to take care about the sequence, right? So if $1 is first and then $2, right? So we have to pass in the same sequence like P founded and P number of employees after that, right? So we are expecting here that for $2 P number of employees should come. So here we need to take care about the sequence, right? So now let's just create this function, guys, and let's see what is the output. Okay. So function got created, right? Let me just run some calls on this function. Okay. So first call I'm making this function first call. In that I'm passing parameter as 2000 and 5000. That means all the organization P founded as 2000 and P number of employees as 5000. That means I need all the organization which are founded after 2000, right? And having number of employees greater than 5000, right? So I'll just call this function and let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm getting 17 rows. That means these are the 17 organization which are founded after 2000 year and having number of employees also greater than 5000, right? Let's check the message. Okay, so this is our message. It's a label is info, and in prepared statement we can see our complete prepared statement. This is the statement which is getting executed here, right? LV statement. Select star from app or view where OV founded greater than $1 and OV number of employees greater than $2, right? And we are passing the value of $1 here, P founded date, and $2 is P number of employees, right? So that way we can always print our dynamic statement so that we can check our dynamic query is good, and then we can just provide the values of those dynamic bind variables using this using clause, right? Now, second thing is, suppose I don't want this five, the P number of employees, the second parameter clause, I don't want to be applied, right? That's why I've checked here if P number of employees is not null, then only add this second part of dynamic and clause, right? And OV number of employees greater than $2. But what if P number of employees is null, right? Then it should skip this clause, right? So our dynamic prepared statement will be only this, right? Let's try to run. Okay, so I'm passing year as 2000 and passing P number of employees as null, right? So let's try to run that. So it is giving me 38 rows, right? So earlier it was 17, right? So that means there are 38 organization which are founded after 2000, right? But I'm not passing the second parameter P number of employees. That's why I'm getting those organization also which are having number of employees less than 5000, right? Like in this case 921, right? So let's check the message. So this is the message, right? So again, it's an info type message, and in prepared statement, it is printed as select star from app org view, where only one clause, that is OV founded greater than $1, right? So this one is getting executed, right? Here LV statement. So in LV statement, we have this much only, right? $1. Although we are in using clause, we are passing both, but since $1 is only present in LV statement, so only P founded was used and P number of employees was ignored, right? So that's how we can do, guys. Okay, so you can add as many number of bind variables, and you can pass all the bind variable values comma separated here, right? So whatever no whatever bind variable will present here, those values will be taken from here, right? And whichever is not present, that will be skipped, right? So that's about the bind variable. Now let me explain the need of bind variable. Why we are using bind variable, right? What is the advantage of using bind variable in databases? Okay. So there are many advantages of using bind variable. I have listed just couple of them. Okay. So first thing is avoid generation of new SQL ID every time when called with other value, right? So suppose I am printing the query, right? So it is called suppose you are using $1 for P index, right? Which you did in case of first query right here. So we are this is the query, right? Select star from app org v where org index, right? So we can use $1, right? So what happens if your query says like this, right? So every time if you will use it like this, let me just write it here. So if you use like P index, right? P org index, right? That is the parameter which is passed in function, right? So if you use this query, right, without no bind variable, that is $1 or $2 whatever, right? So what will happen every time whenever it will be executed, right? So at runtime it will generate a new query because the p org index value is changing every time, right? So every time it will have a new SQL query, right? And it will be generating a new SQL ID. While if you use bind variable, then what will happen? There will be just one query, which will be this one. Select star from OB where P of index equals to $1, right? So $1 is placeholder, right? So whatever values you pass, right? So always your SQL ID there will be only single SQL ID, right? And that will be for this is your SQL, right? This SQL will be generated. So you always have just single SQL ID. Although in this case, when you don't use bind variables, your multiple SQL IDs get generated, right? And when multiple SQL IDs get generated, then it's very difficult for database administrator to set the best execution plan, right? Because every time no SQL IDs will keep changing, so they will not be able to track that which SQL will be executed next, so that they can fix a best plan for that query, right? And third advantage is it works well with the dynamic SQLs, right, and improve performance. So obviously you are passing values at runtime, right? So it improves performance, and you have seen the example how well suited it works with the dynamic SQLs, right? So these are the advantages of using bind variables, guys. Okay, try it out, in your development work, and then you will see the difference. Okay. So I think that's it from this lecture, guys. In the next lecture, we will learn more cool features from the Postgres. Okay. So if you guys like this video, please subscribe my channel and let me know the feedbacks in comments. Yeah, thank you guys.